Today, we're going to be talking about a new grow light technology that can increase terpene production in your plants. This one's going to be cool. But before we do, this video is brought to you by Real Growers Grow Dots, the easiest way to feed your plants. You mix grow dots in once at the beginning of your grow, and they feed your plants all the way to harvest. Go check them out over at realgrowers.com. And then, come on, let's shift gears and get into a little lighting tech. I see. You want to?
I do. First, I want to take a stroll down memory lane. I remember when I first got into growing, there was these two big, bulky type of lights that people used to use.
Yeah, the HPS and the metal halides. Man, just a model of inefficiency. That was the best they could do in the 70s, all right, or the 80s. But, man, it was, a lot of wattage for that, not that much light.
I remember they'd also get really hot because they weren't very efficient.
Well, a watt is, no matter what, when you use a watt, whether it's from a fan or an air conditioner, dehumidifier, light bulb, it's 3.5 BTUs of heat. So for every watt, there's BTUs of heat. So 1,000 watts produces 3,500 BTUs of heat, right? So if you, when you had that much wattage, man, you were getting a lot of heat. And remember what we're talking about, they weren't all that efficient into taking that heat and making it into light. So it makes some light energy a whole bunch of heat energy. So they're very inefficient.
And that would cause a bunch of problems to contend with inside of your grow.
Yeah, I mean, now you got to get rid of this heat. I'm paying for the light, but I'm getting a huge byproduct of heat. So I think they measure them in efficiency, and it was U moles per joule is the fancy way of saying it. But just remember the numbers. 1.2 is what an HPS light was. That was the model of efficiency in the 80s and 90s or whatever. When the LED lights that are out now have about a 3.0 rating. Maybe they just broke 3. So that means they're 2.5 times more efficient, meaning that for every watt, every 3.5 BTUs of heat, every watt, you're getting almost 3 times the amount of photons, the amount of light raindrops raining down on your plant. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and I remember also one of the things that I thought was so inconvenient was there was two different. There was like one that put out almost like a white blue.
Sure.
And then there was another one that put out like a yellow red, and you had to switch them when you flipped your plants.
You didn't have to, but that was the wrap. It made more money at the grocery store that way. But no, they're different. The reason they had blues and reds, because that was the easiest for them to make. They were able to make blue light and red light to where actually the plant can just see it and absorb it a lot better than the other spectrums. So the red light was the most efficient, and then blue light second after that. But they were missing all the other colors of the spectrum there. They were just trying to kind of cheat and give, get the most bang for the buck out of those two colors.
Yeah, and so I remember when energy efficiency started being a real consideration, and they started making those first LED lights.
Sure.
It was the blue and the red, and I remember there was a plague of purple lights.
Blurples. Yeah, they were taking the 2 photosynthetic peaks, and that's what they were using. And it worked. It did throw some photons down on there, but the spectrum was not right, man. The color of the light was not right.
And so that's why we've kind of moved into these kind of white full spectrum.
Yeah, and these are just being invented, or just invented, I don't know, a decade ago or something like that, or at least mainstreamed, and we're watching the evolution of LED happen right before our eyes, and it's very interesting, man. We're watching it go. Remember I was saying that they're up to 3 U moles per joule of efficiency? 5 years ago it was 2, and it's just they keep on getting better and better.
And we recently had a comment on one of the videos. Somebody was saying, I don't see why everybody's worried about all of these things. I just grow them out in the sun, and I get great plants. So what's the logic behind that? Why is, I mean, I'm looking at a grow light, and it looks like I'm getting all of this stuff. Maybe when it was the blurple, I wasn't.
Sure.
What's up with the sun? What's the extra thing that growing out in the sun gets you that maybe not you're not getting with your regular LED grow lights.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of sunlight, it's got every color in it. It's just this bright white LED, not LED. It's this bright white light. LEDs try to mimic that, but there's a PAR range, a photosynthetic active range. It's the range that plants can see. There's wavelengths that the plant can't see. There are wavelengths that we can't see. Infrared light, or on the lower spectrum, UV light. If you think about us, we can't see UV light, but if we hang out too long where there's in the sun, we'll certainly get tan, or we'll certainly get sunburnt. That's the UV light, taking its effect on us. So there are other parts of the spectrum that the sun has that these grow lights just don't have, even the full spectrum white LEDs. And I'm specifically thinking of UV light.
And the UV light, before we jump in the different types of UV light,
right?
The benefit that you get from growing in the sun and having that UV exposure that you might not be getting under your regular LED lights. How does UV benefit the plant, or what does it cause in the plant? So
UV is a short wavelength, light wavelength, so it can damage things. UVA is a little bit longer, takes a little bit longer. UVA, I say all right. UVB is for burn. UVC is for cancer. So UVA is a little bit longer of a spectrum, or of a light, and light wavelength rather. It takes a while till it causes damage. UVB within a very short amount of time causes damage, and UVC just almost immediately starts breaking up. But just like in our skin, we elicit a response and we start getting darker, and maybe it'll peel or burn. The plants can have a response to that too. So we don't want to have that plant leaf get burnt, or the plant doesn't want to. So what does our favorite plant have? It has trichomes. Trichomes are these stalks with this big head on top, this big ball on top. If you grow enough of those close enough together, you're going to have some sunscreen. You're going to have a bunch of umbrellas going on to shade that plant, to shade that leaf surface, and make sure that it doesn't get damaged, or at least to reduce the amount of damage. And all those trichomes contain our terpenes and our cannabinoids and all the good stuff. We're trichome farmers is what we are.
So the idea is having that extra UV light triggers the plant to produce more than regular amounts of trichomes.
Yeah, it's saying, hey, we got to protect this leaf surface here. Let's just keep on pushing this bigger trichomes, more terpenes, whatever we can do to block that UV.
Okay. And some new technology in lighting, they're adding UV, but specifically UVA, correct?
Yeah, UVA. UVA is the one that you can work under for long periods of time. The lower down you B and then C, the shorter the wavelength of the light, and the more active it is, to where they really will start destroying DNA. So after UVA, you can hang out in for a while. UVB, within I think 5 or 10 minutes, it will start burning, hurting your plants and hurting your skin. And then UVC is those clean lights that they have like a shield over them. You're supposed to, you're not even supposed to see them at all. So they're really damaging. But the UVA, as I was talking about buddy Steve over at HLG, those are the ones that feel really comfortable using. Very similar. UVB is very active, but it's very easy to burn the plants, and it's very hard to keep UVB like a bulb. With UVB, it wants to burn out really quick. They really haven't figured out how to do LEDs with it. So UVA is the one that they're all using. And the difference is, instead of using 5 minutes or 10 minutes worth of UVB, you just leave the UVA lights on for a while. I mean, I think they even integrate them in where you can just leave them on with your lights.
Okay, and I've seen two different variations of this technology. I've seen a UVA exclusive light that you just add in.
Right.
And then I've also seen LED lights that have UVA diodes in. And so there's two different ways to go about.
Yeah, well, they figured out the UVA diodes is pretty new. So if you bought a light within the past couple years, it may have UVA diodes in it. If you didn't, I have some lights that are 3 or 4 years old that are awesome. They just don't have UVA in them. So I just might get a supplemental little UV bar that clips on there. Yeah, so it's something you can do that if you want to play around with it. So the overall idea is this new evolution in lighting technology, them being able to make these UVA diodes is changing the plant morphology again, or at least indoors, and it's increasing trichome production, or at least that's what I'm hearing from a lot of our fellow growers, an increase in trichome production, an increase in overall cannabinoids, and a more terpy plant. But I personally haven't tried them in my grow yet. So if you have, please let me know your experience in the comments. I would love to know. And if you like this video, please press that like button, smash that subscribe button, and watch a couple of the other videos YouTube's recommending over here. I hope you dig them.